Yay. So
Hi.
I am so excited to have my friend Cindy on this next episode. And gosh, for years, you have been a proponent of this book, Beauty in the Breakup. And I'm so grateful you've shared it with friends and people getting married so that they wouldn't lose themselves. So I think that's awesome. Um,
hmm
but you were saying that um, in this marriage that you're in now, second marriage,
hmm
that
hmm
you got to a point where things just weren't working. And this happens. Like we all go through ups and downs in relationships, and it doesn't mean that you need to break
hmm
up, but sometimes things really need to change, and you have to be in the
hmm
question like, okay,
hmm
what else is possible here? So, would you like to share some of maybe what was going on or?
hmm Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, but even just hearing the word things aren't working, you're like, because that's what marriage is. It's like relationships are work, and I was like, no, I want relationship to be fun. Like it, why can't it be fun? Why can't it be as we've come to these new terms of like a creationship, where and we have been like in this new marriage, this new like I call it a partnership. Like I wanted a partner, and
Mhm.
that's what I really came into this relationship in, um, seeking that because I had a relationship, I had a marriage, and did all of that, and that ended the way it did, and here I was kind of trying something new with someone new, but I found myself still doing a lot of the same thing, like reacting the same way. And there were even a couple of times like, hello, it's me, like, why are you reacting this way with me? Like, there was no reason for it. And I caught myself like on this like auto response system with him with certain things.
Mhm.
And, and things were great. We were creating great things, we created great businesses together. We created a great home and a great space for ourselves. And uh, but it started to get to this point where it's like I would see him and he didn't look happy. And I was not feeling fulfilled either because I almost felt like we were both tiptoeing, like not wanting to upset each other. And I even remember a couple times he'd come home after a hard day, he works in construction, so it's like long days sometimes, hot days, and
Mhm.
you're dealing with, you know, people and their needs, and then having to come home and then, having to fulfill his wife's needs, like, oh, it's Friday night, I should take her out, or I should do this, or we should do that, and
Shitting all over yourselves.
yes, it was, and it was like I don't want him to take me out because he feels he should. I wish he would take me out because he would enjoy himself too. Not to say that he wouldn't, but I could tell he was tired. I was like, don't worry about it. And
Mhm.
then he would also, I would, hear him say like, well, don't be upset that I didn't, take you out or I didn't. And I was like, why would I be upset? But I was like, I almost got this flash of like previous relationships,
Mm.
where he was working so hard or working on weekends and you don't take me out or, I could almost hear the whole movie, script with that. And I was like, that's not me. I'll take myself to the movies. I'll take myself out to dinner. I'll call my girlfriends. Like that was not an issue for me. I
Mhm.
enjoyed going out with him, but and so I would find ourselves kind of in that space, and I had read your book, and I'm so grateful for the conversations we had about like the unwinding stuff because I got to really unwind some stuff that was still stuck lingering from my previous relationship and marriage. So that helped a lot, in terms of unwinding all of that.
Cool.
That part. But then I remember one particular night, we were having kind of like an in-house movie night. We got the popcorn, we had like, our sodas, like shifted like a little movie theater in our living room, just he and I. He even had the licorice, we made, sweet,
Cute.
sweet space, got a fun movie to watch. And we're just, cuddling next to each other, having a really great evening. Weren't arguing. There was no upset. And I remember just turning to him, just like so random. I turned to him, I was like, you know, I don't want to be married anymore. He was like, what? I didn't say I wanted a divorce. I just, I don't know, it just came, it just came out like so. But but even as I think about it, it wasn't like an anger or frustration. I was like, I don't. I was like, what are you talking about? And then what started to come out was I started to see like we were in this box of like what marriage should be, what it
Mhm.
should look like, what's required, what marriage was for my parents, what marriage was for his parents. And we're trying to put ourselves in this box, and that is not us. He's like a free spirit too, before we were married, he'd go hunting all the time. He was, out and about with his friends. He wasn't like someone that'd go to the bars or parties. He was not ever that
Mhm.
person.
Yeah.
Not to say he wouldn't go then, but he loved hunting. He's an outdoorsman person.
He's
And
an adventurer.
he's an
Yeah.
adventurer. But he even stopped doing that. And same
Uh,
with me, I'm always like taking classes or like to travel or explore or do, I would take myself to like San Francisco Botanical Gardens or drive out to the ocean. I would do a lot of stuff by myself, and I wasn't doing that either. And so I just turned to him and so when I said that, I just go, I really want you to do things that make you happy, you know? And you could almost hear like that's usually where divorces start to kind of go like that route. But I go, I want you to do things that make you happy, but also include me, honor me. And I want to do things that make me happy, include you, honor you. But I don't want you to feel like just because I enjoy something, you have to go and suffer through that thing because we'll be together. Or same with me, like he's invited me hunting. I'm like, no, thank you. Out in the cold. No, you know? And I'll, reap the benefits of the yummy stuff you bring. I'll cook it, things like that. But other than that, I was like, no. And then we just left it at that. He just kind of chuckled. He's like, you're crazy, because I brought it up like that. And I was like, okay. But there was this space that opened up after that. Something shifted. And all of a sudden, he started doing more things with his friends and family. He started going
mhm,
hunting more. I started choosing classes for myself, and he wasn't making a big deal about it. And it
mhm.
was like all of a sudden we started choosing things, and we do more so now. Before we'd ask like, "Well, can I go?" Da da da. And I was, "Oh, I'm going with so and so," and I'm thinking of doing this, and I'm like, "Okay, have fun." And oh, I'm doing this class. Da da da. He said, "Oh, he said, well, we talk about things, but it isn't this kind of like,
You don't have to
kind of
ask permission. You don't
yes,
have to assume they're going to be upset.
yes. No, but I do include him like, hey, this is coming up. Do we have anything going on this weekend? And he'll say, oh, I really wanted to do da 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 da. I'm like, okay, well, I don't have to do this, and we'll go do that. And then he kind of like, oh, really? Like, and I could see where that is including him and honoring him and something he'd like to do. And sometimes I'm like, well, I really don't want to do that. So would you mind going by yourself? Okay. And it's just, yeah, it's been really, really great.
That's so
That,
cool. Yeah. I imagine that, you know, it's like when you're in the relationship, you think that by doing something for you, it's a
mhm,
dishonoring of them instead
mhm.
of it being actually including you in honoring.
Yeah.
So you'll honor them, you'll do what they want to do, you'll go to their families, whatevers.
Mhm,
And then when it comes to you, do you honor you? Do you include yourself in the computation?
mhm,
And most people don't. And
mhm,
then they start to build up resentment and as if the other person didn't let them. But
mhm.
it's our own
Yep,
exclusion of
yep,
ourselves.
totally. And I would notice that about myself when I wouldn't ask. Like I'd already make up in my head like he's gonna say no,
Hmm.
or like, oh, this is too much, money or too much time away. So then I won't even ask, and I could just feel it in my body. And and then I'll say, hey, there's this thing I really want to do. I don't, it's this much, but I'll just kind of like get it out,
Hmm.
and he'll, run the motor of da 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 da. Okay, da, 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 like, well, I have this,
Yeah.
set aside for this, and time what, we'll kind of work it out. But there's a sense of space, at least that I let it out. I'm not holding back what I truly desire and want, because that's the piece where I find like there's a lot of resentment. But when we talk about it, after a while, he's like, okay, whatever, go.
Yeah. It's almost like, the energy of asking your parents for something.
Yes, that's what it would
It's
feel
like,
like.
why would you
Yeah,
put that on your
yeah,
partner, you
yes,
know?
yeah. But I think also like our culture, also probably, I think with, Mexican culture, it's very like the woman, even now when he tells people that I'm out of town, I could almost sense the like what? She's gonna be gone for, she's where? She's like you kind of like but now people just know it's like, hey, yeah, that's what I'm choosing, and I don't need to explain it. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. He's all, I like hunting. That's my kind of thing that I enjoy doing, and she enjoys this, and that's what she enjoys doing, and it makes us better people with each other, I think. You know?
Yeah, because like they do say that couples who travel or, there's some
Mhm,
distance or something, distance makes
mhm,
the heart grow fonder. It's like
mhm,
you have space to do stuff that fills you up, that lights you up, and then you bring
mhm,
that back to the relationship when you're together. And
mhm,
to not allow yourself to have that, you're going to
mhm,
start to resent your partner, and that's part of what creates the separation.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's really cool. I remember one of my last relationships, uh, like I laid all of these principles out, and of course he was like, yes, 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 but it was really a no in his mind. And he
Mhm,
at one point he said, "You're just saying that so you can do whatever you want." And I'm like, "No, I'm saying this so that you can do whatever you want and I can do whatever I want, and we can both be whole and we can
mhm,
bring that wholeness to each other. Because
mhm,
I don't want you to diminish yourself and limit yourself for me. Because
mhm.
I like the person being their amazing, grand person that they are.
Yes. Yeah.
So
And
you're
and we
lucky
were,
that your husband,
yeah.
was willing to also choose it because it wouldn't work if you went off and did your own thing and then he just
Mhm.
sat home and stewed about it.
Well, that's what we were doing though. I would, because before this, before having that conversation, I was like, I'm going no matter what. It was kind of like not
Um,
including him.
yeah, that's a
And
different
then
vibe.
it was a different vibe. It was a different space. And that's why I'm so grateful for your book, because it was like those points of like, I was always one to like, oh, you know, um, fight and flight. We'd get an argument, I would leave, and
Hmm.
he'd call me. We'd have these conversations back and forth, and yeah, I mean, most of my relationships didn't last. Like they would last maybe. I mean, I guess a year or two is kind of long for some people. But they, as soon as like the honeymoon phase was over, or we'd start bickering about something, or have some kind of disagreement. Okay, bye. That was it.
Mm.
Like no looking back. you know? And with him for the first time, it was like, oh, he would actually want to talk about things. He's like, well, let's talk about this. And I'm like, oh, you want to just argue about it and just like let me go? He said, well, I mean, if that's really what you want to do, then go. And I'm like, well, do I really, then I was like, do I really want to go? Um, but yeah, so we'd have really great conversations, and certain things would open up, and we'd be different people with each other. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great. And it is important to know if they're just giving you lip service
Hmm.
and if they're actually being congruent with what they're saying.
Yeah.
Um, and that's where it's like you have to trust you.
Hmm.
You have to trust you because
Hmm.
I knew that that other person was just saying it. I thought, well, let's just give it a
Let's
go.
try.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
maybe he'll come around to it. Um, and yeah, no, no. When it's a no, even if they're saying yes, it's still a no.
Mhm.
And you have to
Yes.
know that for yourself. So,
Yes, for sure, because you could feel it. And he's, yeah, he has said yes before, but deep down it was a no. And then he was, he would be kind of like moping around,
mm,
But then last year when I went to Italy, I included him. I was like, we're going, I'm going. Do you want to go? And I included him. And at first he was like, no. And then he was like, yes. And then it was like, I can't, too much, work's going on. I go, okay, so let's just cancel it and do it next year. And I'm like, I'm not canceling it. I'm going. He's like, what? That's kind of like what I have to do
he couldn't
to
talk
get
you
him.
out of it. So he's like, okay, I'm in.
No, I'm in. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And man, it was the best. It totally changed him. It really was amazing. So, and I could see he sees where he requires that too, that time
Hmm.
away and
Hmm.
decompress and see something different. I mean, he fell in love with Italy and the Italian people. I just like,
Hmm.
so amazing, it was really sweet. But yeah, I just feel like we're different people, and I think sometimes we don't allow ourselves to change because we want to see each other kind of like the person that we first met, you know.
Hmm.
And I think I was at the time we met, I wasn't. I was more of like a damsel in distress, kind of like
Hmm.
wanting, still like, I wouldn't say struggling, but um, not not who I am today for sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
your sister
Hmm.
used the analogy of like repotting a plant when,
Hmm.
when you outgrow it. And,
Yeah.
you know, everything grows and everything changes. Everything in nature has seasons and you need to grow. You can't keep things static. It's not going to happen.
Hmm.
So, repotting that plant and having new experiences and growing together, it's a beautiful journey.
Hmm.
And like if we looked at it from that perspective instead of trying to keep the honeymoon phase, and you can
Hmm.
like that's a great phase and what you can grow into can mature into beautiful wine
Hmm.
if
Yeah.
you
No.
if you can still have that gratitude for the person being in your life, the
Hmm.
allowance for them being who they are and choosing for them and you choosing for you,
Hmm.
honoring them, honoring yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. That does remind me. Yeah, I remember that story. And we actually had a Japanese maple tree that we had from
Mhm.
our wedding because
Mhm.
I purchased about a dozen Japanese maple trees to give as gifts to some of our family members that were at our wedding. And we had one and we planted it in our backyard and we did an addition in our house and this Japanese maple tree wasn't growing. I go, oh, it must be like a dwarf tree. So we were going to dig that area where the tree was so to do the addition. So we took the Japanese maple tree out. Well, guess what? Underneath it was concrete. So
So
it
good,
didn't
bro.
grow. It couldn't grow. And so we were talking with my neighbors, a really great friend of mine, and I go, "Hey, this is a Japanese maple tree. Would you like to grow it in your?" She had a beautiful. She's like right behind us too, and her backyard bumps up against to ours, so we get the shade and everything. I go, "Would you like to plant it in your yard?" And you go back there, it's huge. It's like this huge, beautiful Japanese maple tree. But I mean, that's just a perfect. It wasn't even in a pot. There was
Right.
something, under it
Yeah.
that you didn't
That's
even
like
know.
where we limit ourselves in the box
Hmm.
of our reality.
Totally,
This
totally.
is how it is, and this is what we do. Taco
We
Tuesdays
don't.
and for Friday. But
We
like,
don't.
what's so interesting since I ended that last relationship,
Hmm.
it's like every day is just a day. I don't have this thing of it's Friday, I have to go out, or
Mm,
it's Saturday. He used to have a lot of that, you know, um, and maybe after a long week, maybe you do want to go out on a Friday, and it's not wrong, but to have that as this stationary thing in your life that every single Friday you have to go out, even if you're too tired or they don't
Hmm.
want to, or like
Hmm.
instead of being in the moment and checking in
Yeah.
with each other and being
Yeah.
curious, like, wow,
Yeah.
what would be fun today? If it wasn't a significant day of the
Right.
week, it was just today, what would we like to do?
Yeah. That reminds me, about 3 weeks ago or so, he tells me, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I think it was a Wednesday. Yeah, what are you doing Thursday night? I'm like, Thursday night, I don't have anything. And he's, "Oh, I have a surprise." I mean, that's rare. I doesn't really, it's not a like a surprise, for you or something, or surprise something. I'm like, on a Thursday night? And he's like, yeah. I'm the one that's like, on a Thursday night, it's gonna be. And he's just like, yeah. And I go, all right. Well, he ends up getting tickets to a comedy show on a Thursday night here in Santa Rosa, and we had the best time. I remember we're just there, and we're laughing, and I look over at him, and we're just like just having this joyful moment, laughing, and it was just like I was so grateful for him. One, him creating that on his own, choosing it for himself, but I think he also saw that I required some laughter that week because it was a pretty rough week for both of us. We were kind of,
Mhm.
stuff was coming up, and we both feel it. And I'm so grateful. But yeah, like those little things that people could do that aren't the norm, or
That's
when you're
beautiful.
really getting a sense of what your partner requires, it's like
Yeah,
that's different.
I love that.
Hmm.
So it is really cool how you can bring up things that aren't working, face it, and then have things shift and change and become greater. A lot of people think, beauty in the breakup is about getting divorced, but
Hmm.
I mean, half the people end up shifting things in the relationship that weren't working and then creating something greater together. It doesn't
Hmm.
necessitate one or the other.
No.
It's what would you like to choose? And get out of those sticky limitations and the concrete in your life and move
Hmm.
beyond it.
Totally. Totally.
So I'm very, very happy for you that you're able to
Yeah.
continue to
Yeah.
create greater with each other. And
Hmm.
how does it get better than this?
Oh, that's it. And I get like every day we get to choose. He gets to choose, I get to choose. And I'm also clear he has choice. Like, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, well, what can I create that's fun for him that would bring him joy, that actually that'll, like, where I'm being nurturing also as much as I want him to nurture me, where am I giving that to him? Also to myself. I do that a lot to myself. But, so it's like bringing that into the relationship for sure. Um,
Yeah. That's
and
awesome.
it's just, yeah, I just love to see the possibilities. Yeah,
Cool.
thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And if people have questions or topics they would like us
Hmm.
to talk about, please send them in and keep choosing.
Yes, every day, more and more.